Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to this program. Tonight, I would like to analyze a video that has been making the rounds in my WhatsApp group. It's a revisit of the 2017 military coup. What I'll do is I'll play the video and then play it over again and analyze it. So bear with me.
There's no difference. Mugabe left in 2017 through a coup d'etat. You must not forget that. That's the foundation of Zimbabwe. The foundation of Zimbabwe is a coup d'etat. Emerson Mnangagwa is a product of the army. Forget the election in 2018. That was just a cosmetic activity to endorse a coup d'etat. So the army, by carrying out a coup d'etat in 2017, created a regime that they control. So Mnangagwa, Chiwenga, the army are one entity, which is the military establishment.
Good morning, Zimbabwe. Fellow Zimbabweans, following the address we made on 13 November 2017, which we believe our main broadcasters, Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation, and the Herald were directed not to publicize the situation in our country, has moved to another level. Firstly, we wish to assure the nation that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade R.G. Mugabe, and his family are safe and sound, and their security is guaranteed.
You can never build a democracy. You can never build a good foundation on the basis of a coup d'etat. So we have challenges there. The foundation is flawed.
We are only targeting criminals around him who are committing crimes that are causing social and economic suffering in the country in order to bring them to justice. As soon as we have accomplished our mission, we expect that the situation will return to normalcy.
So 4 years down the line, we have not seen any criminal who were around President Robert Mugabe being convicted in the courts of Zimbabwe. So you can actually see that the likes of Ignatius Chombo, they were cleared. A lot of politicians, they got arrested, they got cleared, and the court says they did nothing wrong, which means the military intervention itself is flawed, and the military intervention itself, if we were living in a democratic country, it would be reversed, and we would ask the previous administration to come back, take over from where they left, because it shows that there were no real criminals around President Mugabe, because nobody has been convicted. So if you check on the life being lived by civil servants right now, they were earning around $400 equivalent. Now they are earning $100 equivalent or less. So this is now the situation we have. Nothing has improved. Things have gone worse. So I don't know what we should do, but as citizens, we need to unite. We need to make sure that we register to vote, and we need to make sure that in 2023 we vote for MPs, we vote for councillors, we vote for a president who is going to change things. With this team should change things in the nation of Zimbabwe.
There we have it. An interesting video indeed. I think the immediate thing to be said here is that we seem to be going round and round in circles here. The military coup in 2017 was necessary because we had a dictatorship. the coup itself would not have been necessary if the MDC had implemented the democratic reforms which would have changed the whole country's political system so that the corruption and mismanagement were a thing of the past. They did not. And so we ended up with the coup being necessary because we still had a dictatorship, because the GNU of 2008 to 2017 had failed to implement the democratic reforms which would have removed the dictatorship. And now we seem to be going round in circles again, where the military coup happened to remove a dictatorship, but it did not improve the situation. And now we are being told the 2018 elections were to sanitize the military coup. That is very true. The elections in 2018 were not free, fair, and credible. And so they only sanitized the military coup. But what we are being told at the end of this video is we should participate in 2023 elections, although nothing has changed in terms of the electoral process. ZANU-PF is still rigging the elections. And yet we are being told we should participate in it. Are we not sanitizing the same regime again? This is ridiculous. We're just going round and round in circles. Let's start the video again, and I'll stop it at a few points, and then I can raise the issue that has been discussed at that point. So bear with me.
There's no difference. Mugabe left in 2017 through a coup d'etat. You must not forget that. That's the foundation of Zimbabwe. The foundation of Zimbabwe is a coup d'etat. Emerson Mnangagwa is a product of the army. Forget the election in 2018. That was just a cosmetic activity to endorse a coup d'etat. So the army, by carrying out a coup d'etat in 2017, created a regime that they control. So Mnangagwa, Chiwenga, the army are one entity, which is the military establishment.
Good morning, Zimbabwe.
So, like I said, we are being told that the military coup was the foundation of Zimbabwe's present system, political system. Zimbabwe was a dictatorship before the coup. What had created that foundation? The foundation was faulty already. What had created that faulty foundation? It was the failure to uphold the fundamental rights of the individuals to a meaningful say in free, fair, and credible elections. That was the problem. The 2008 to 2013 GNU was supposed to address that fundamental problem. And our friend Atham Tambara was in that GNU. SADC, at the end of the 2008 elections, decided for the first time that they were not going to endorse the ZANU-PF rigged elections. And they managed to get ZANU-PF to agree to implementing fundamental democratic reforms so that Zimbabwe gets out of this situation where you've got rigged elections and bad governance. And the 2008 to 2013 was the golden opportunity in Zimbabwe's history since independence to finally implement the democratic reform and dismantle the ZANU-PF dictatorship. Sadly, not even one meaningful democratic reform was implemented. Not even one. To be fair to the army, During the GNU, the army played no role, none. They did not stop Atham Tambara and his friends in MDC implementing the reforms. So this, we keep trying to build the army into a monster, all powerful, stopping Zimbabwe moving forward. That is not true. That is not true. The army did not stop Atham Tambara and Morgan Tsvangira implementing even one mini reform. Even Mugabe himself did not stop them, in the sense that Mugabe, although he was president, he never refused to sign any proposed reforms put before him during the GNU. Never. The truth is, Atham Tambara and his friends failed to come up with even one meaningful reform proposal during the GNU. The GNU was 2008 to 2013. The coup happened in 2017, post the GNU period. So if the GNU had implemented the democratic reforms and transformed Zimbabwe into a functioning democracy, the coup would have been totally unnecessary. And in this particular case, even if it had happened, the metrics on the ground would have been, we have got a functioning democracy, an elected government, not a dictatorship. So the coup, if it had taken place then, it would have been a totally different ballgame. As it happened, the 2017 military coup was to replace a dictatorship. That is one of the things that was obvious even to the army itself, and that made it easy for the army to stage the coup. The people were restless. They were desperate to get rid of Mugabe. Yes, the army, the same people, Mnangagwa, in fact, was Mugabe's right-hand man. And they had kept Mugabe in power for all those 37 years. But nonetheless, when the military coup was, the 2017 military coup happened, the people supported it because their number one priority at that point, they were so desperate, was let's get rid of Mugabe. After 37 years, they really had no other option. Rigged elections means they had no peaceful way of getting rid of Mugabe. So the army, when they stepped into that void and staged the coup, the people supported them because their number one priority is, at least we are getting rid of Mugabe. Let's see what happens next. So it is important that we get the sequence of events correct. Let's go back to the video again.
Fellow Zimbabweans, following the address we made on 13 November 2017, which we believe our main broadcasters, Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation, and the Herald were directed not to publicize the situation in our country, has moved to another level. Firstly, we wish to assure the nation that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade R.G. Mugabe, and his family are safe and sound, and their security is guaranteed.
You can never build a democracy. You can never build a good foundation on the basis of a coup d'etat. So we we have challenges there. The foundation is flawed.
We are only targeting criminals around him who are committing crimes that are causing social and economic suffering in the country in order to bring them to justice. As soon as we have accomplished our mission, we expect that the situation will return to normalcy.
So 4 years down the line, we have not seen.
So in this particular case, what we can honestly say is the failure to implement the democratic reforms during the GNU and thus build a foundation for a democratic Zimbabwe during the GNU gave rise to the military coup in 2017, because we're still stuck with the dictatorship. And the military coup, yes, it was a way of trying to end the dictatorship. Could it have delivered a democratic system? Well, there's no way you could say a military coup in this particular case would establish a democracy, particularly since it is being staged. This is a palace coup. It is being staged by the same criminals who are just fighting each other for power. I think most people, when the new dispensation, as Mnangagwa calls the post-coup government, promised that they will hold free, fair, and credible elections. They will stamp out corruption. No one believed it, because this was a musical chair where the same thugs who had been in the ZANU-PF government all along, but notably Mnangagwa himself, had removed some. Yes, he had taken over as the new dictator, and a few other people had been moved out, and a few faces had come into place. To expect that was going to deliver a democracy, I think, was far-fetched. And therefore, then it came as absolutely no surprise that they failed to deliver a democratic system. Let's listen to the rest of it.
Any criminal who were around President Robert Mugabe being convicted in the courts of Zimbabwe. So you can actually see that the likes of Ignatius Chombo, they were cleared. A lot of politicians, they got arrested, they got cleared, and the court says they did nothing wrong, which means the military intervention itself is flawed, and the military intervention is of, if we were living.
Well, that is pathetic. I mean, we had a dictatorship all along, and we know that corruption was rampant up to that time, and the fact that there's been a policy of catch and release by this new dispensation is not a surprise. Most of these people in Mnangagwa's administration are themselves as corrupt as ever, and the fact that they've not convicted any does not mean there was no corruption, there was no mismanagement. Corruption was there, and corruption has continued after the coup. All it means is the same criminals, because let's face it, some of them, in fact, most of them have been involved in the same corrupt activities. Take, for instance, the issue of the looting of diamonds in Marange. The army was involved, had a mining concession there. The police had a mining concession there. The CIO had a mining concession there. Most of the top brass in the army are incredibly rich from the proceeds from the looting there. So are those in the police and the CIO. The late the previous police commissioner Augustine Chuguri, who is in exile now, because for no other reason than that he happened to be in the wrong basket. He supported the G40 faction, and that was the losing side in the military coup of 2017, has been um, accused of looting $32 million. It has come to nothing because they know if they were to push him too hard, he will reveal how he got most of his wealth. And some of them, including the spokesperson of the military coup, Sibusiso Moyo, and the vice president, Chwenga, who were in the army and the top brass, have benefited from the same looting that was taking place in Marange. And some of it is still going on to this day. So if they pushed Chiwuri too far and he had to reveal his source, the looting in Marange, they would themselves be guilty of the same crime if it is a crime. Because they are filthy rich themselves from the same looting. Mugabe himself was filthy rich from the same looting. Mnangagwa himself is filthy rich from the same looting. So to say no one was convicted in the courts, and let's face it, these courts are the same court which in 2017, in fact, the same court was the one that said the military coup was justified, legal, and constitutional. Where in the world have we ever heard of a military coup being legal, justified, and constitutional? So this is the court we are talking about here. So the problem here is we have got people who want to pretend to somehow, I mean, this argument that, oh, because no one has been convicted, so we should allow the previous regime to come back. It's a ridiculous argument. The previous regime was corrupt, rigged elections, was incompetent, and it's a dictatorship. That's why Zimbabwe is a failed state. And to think just because the post-coup, military coup regime has failed to convict them because they don't want to expose their own criminality means the previous regime is innocent. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous argument. Let's hear the rest of this video.
In a democratic country, it would be reversed, and we would ask the previous administration to come back, take over from where they left, because it shows that there were no real criminals around President Mugabe, because nobody has been convicted. So if you check on the life being lived by civil servants right now, they were earning around $400, 400 US dollars equivalent. Now they are earning $100 equivalent or less. So this is now the situation we have. Nothing has improved. Things have gone worse. So I don't know what we should do, but as citizens we need to unite. We need to make sure that we register to vote, and we need to make sure that in 2023 we vote for MPs, we vote for councillors, we vote for a president who is going to change things. This team should change things in the nation of Zimbabwe.
Well, that again is a meaningless argument. It's laughable that somebody would say at the beginning of that video that the 2018 elections, and I totally agree with Mutambara there, were to sanitize the um, the were to sanitize the elections, the coup um, in 2007. It's because the 2018 elections were not free, fair, and credible. You've got to ask yourself what has changed since the 2018 elections. Nothing, absolutely nothing. No meaningful reform has been implemented to make sure that the elections are free, fair, and credible. So to go into the 2023 elections under the same conditions, and somehow be told if we register with who? ZEC? The same ZEC that announced that the 2023 elections are going ahead, even though there is no verified voters roll, even though there is not even one reform that has been implemented since 2018. It's totally meaningless. If you accept the 2018 elections where uh, shouldn't have gone ahead, they were only there to sanitize the military coup, then the 2023 elections are no different. We are sanitizing the same corrupt regime because ZANU-PF is definitely set to win these elections. They are set to rig the elections. They've now spiced up the attractions to make the opposition tempted to participate in these elections. Sorry, I'll stop there. I would like to welcome Godfrey there. He has just joined us. Um, Good evening, Godfrey.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah.
I'm sure you've had a
Listeners,
chance to listen to this tape. What is your take?
the tape,
The
yes,
video
the video
where
on,
Tampara is saying,
yes.
revisiting the 2017 military coup.
Yeah, I do agree with that his analysis it doesn't, because he says Zimbabwe, the foundation of a coup, which means all institutions of the government, institutions of power, and they all do one command. We have to know our enemy or our opposition.
Well, Godfrey, before you go too far on that one, are we saying that Zimbabwe was a functioning democracy before the coup?
It wasn't, but it came to light.
No, are we
Probably
saying Zimbabwe was a functioning democracy before the coup?
No, it wasn't.
So you cannot say this is a faulty foundation for a democracy when the system was already broken. So the military coup was trying to correct a broken system. Then the question is, we should look at the broken system. What broke it even before that? To blame the army for the broken system when the system was already broken is surely a fallacious argument.
I think this time they just wanted, they had no other option other than, because their own. They were fighting their own system. So to come out somehow, or one had to expose what was the grabbing of power. So they really came out. They all the the flawed system that was in existence.
Well, there I agree with you. The army military coup of 2017 was taking advantage of a broken system already. And let's face it, many Zimbabweans came out in support of the military coup because they were desperate to get rid of Mugabe. You know, we had a dictatorship, and the one is going to ask, why did the 2008 to 2017, sorry, 2008 to 2013 GNU fail to implement the democratic reforms which would have transformed, ended the ZANU-PF dictatorship, and launched a functioning democracy?
Yes, but the GNU itself was also, we can say it was faulty. The foundation of it was faulty. To make it stronger, I think there was need to put in place a non-partisan committee to administer the affairs then, and usher in a well-reformed reformed government. As long as it was involving, the GNU was involving ZANU in this case, or maybe to some extent, a tried and tested opposition, tried, tested, and probably failed opposition. The outcome was not to be expected to be any better. So
Well,
the GNU itself, I can say it was faulty.
deal with the opposition as we found it. Let's deal with the GNU as we found it. The opportunities were there to implement the democratic reforms. Yes, things could have been even better. I totally agree with you there. But nonetheless, even as it was, the opportunities were there. Why did Atham Tambara and his Morgan Tsvangirai and their friends fail to implement even one meaningful democratic reform?
Yeah, I think just like we have been talking on another platform, the implementation itself, I don't think it would be possible with ZANU in it, as long as they are a participant to it, and probably a major, although they didn't have the.
But how did ZANU-PF stop the implementation of the reforms of 2008 during 2008 to 2013? We can't blame ZANU without saying how they stopped it.
I think they just used common sense to say, no, we cannot expect to change these people by insisting on changes to the laws. Because my argument is, let's look at what they are not doing right now. They are not following the Constitution. How do we expect to agree on something, a gentleman's agreement, and expect them to abide by it when they are disregarding
At
the
the present
Constitution?
moment, we do not have a GNU. Do you agree?
No, we don't have.
So in this particular case, ZANU-PF has got 2/3 majority in parliament, and it's got the presidency. So how can we expect ZANU-PF to behave any other way? They have got all the instruments of power in their hands. During the GNU, it was different. The GNU was a government of national unity. ZANU-PF did not have the control of government, neither did MDC. So in this particular case, the question is, the opportunity to implement the reforms were there, particularly when you look at the reforms could be implemented by, even if you as were there as an independent MP, you could implement reforms. All you had to do is submit reform proposal in parliament. If you had submitted them and parliament ignored them, then we'll be looking at why did parliament ignore them. The issue here is MDC did not even submit one meaningful reform proposal. That is the issue, surely.
Yes. Well, we can just speculate on the reasons why they failed. And one pointer to this is the kind of people they were dealing with, disregarding the fact that they had more MPs in parliament. And in this case, we are seeing that the parliament is of no consequence. Maybe it's a weakness of the opposition, but not meaningful. The kind of laws that are being passed, just like we were arguing the other day. Well, although ZANU has got the majority at the moment, they just allow things to go unchallenged. Just like the
We are not speculating.
the recent one, which
Even ZANU PF themselves boasted during the GNU that mazwane MDC adzidza kuita Nyerere. In other words, Mugabe bribed the MDC leaders with the trappings of high office, and they were comfortable. That is the reality. Some of the MDC leaders have admitted the same thing themselves, that we took our eyes off the reforms. It's not speculation. That is the historic facts.
yes, what I was coming to now was there is currently intimidation. No one is raising a voice in parliament or any meaningful voice. They already had passed the delimitation.
Yeah, no, but we are
Without,
not dealing with parliament now, Godfrey, because now ZANU PF has got majority in parliament. Even if the opposition raised those points, at the end of the day, parliament will say, okay, we'll take a vote, and ZANU PF will win the day. What we're talking about is the GNU. That's why we call it the golden opportunity to implement the democratic reforms. If Atham Tambara and his friends had implemented the reforms, the military coup of 2017 would have been unnecessary.
you think they would have? It would not have been possible for them to stage a coup. You mean?
Why would the military stage the coup if Zimbabwe was a healthy and functioning democracy?
I think even in a democratic country, anyone hell bent with a little bit of support on staging a coup, they can successfully do it.
Yes, I totally agree, but that is now in the realms of mere speculation. Even if the coup had actually happened and Zimbabwe was a functioning democracy, I think the people would have never come out in their thousands in support of the military coup as they did in 2017, because people will be saying, we don't want a military coup. We have got a functioning democracy. We have removed the dictator now. Why are you staging the coup? And if you listen to that video itself, the coup leaders themselves gave the fact that Zimbabwe is a dictatorship, the economy was in free fall, as the excuse for the coup. We are removing the people who are destroying the economy. That was their excuse. And they were only responding to the need of the people that they themselves could not deny was there.
Yes. So everyone was duped. We believed that they were sincere. We can't deny that fact. We went out and thinking, because we were thinking we had seen the West. And now the people who are causing us misery are going to be removed by these people.
Yes, I agree. People were duped, but the point there is they believed it because they were desperate to get rid of Mugabe. So the whole start of this whole discussion by Atham Tambara claiming that the military coup is a flawed foundation for democracy is true in the sense that yes, we didn't expect the military coup to deliver democracy, but the point is the military coup only came to fix a already broken system. We had a dictatorship, a dictatorship maybe with the army was not so prominent then, but nonetheless it was still a dictatorship. Just as much as now it is a dictatorship, the army's role in it is speculative. We do not have a president who is in the army. Yes, the vice president, but he has retired from the army, and so forth. So the whole point is we are going round and round in circles here. We should have fixed the system during the GNU because it was broken. We knew it was broken, and we failed to fix it. And the military came in, and we sanitized it by participating in the 2018 elections. And people agree that was wrong. We sanitized the military coup. And now in 2023, we are being asked to go and vote, to register to vote. Register with whom? ZEC, the same ZEC that we know is in the pockets of ZANU-PF. This 2023 election without reforms is no different from 2018. We are still sanitizing a dictatorship, be it with the backing of the army or with the army in the background. It really doesn't matter. We still have a dictatorship, a broken system here. And what we need is to implement the reforms and to demand we implement the reforms before we go on to the elections. To keep on repeating the same thing, that is the argument. We are repeating the same thing here. We're not moving forward.
No, there's no movement forward here. We are just going round and round around one issue, from one flawed foundation to the other. With benefit of hindsight, I think we are all agreed that the GNU was faulty. The way why I say it was faulty is we did not include independent people within it. And so it was faulty. With also benefit of hindsight, 2018, our involvement in the elections was wrong. So I think when we are faced with another GNU, we know what to do, and when we are faced with another election, we should learn from the past. We are agreed, yes, that at the present moment it's a dictatorship, and then even 2018, we sort of knew but we were just denying it. We knew that the power rested with someone else, not with the people, and we went ahead with the elections. So what I can only say is let's learn from the GNU, and let's also learn from our mistakes of 2018.
Well, thanks very much, Godfrey. I think with that, I'd like to re-emphasize the point that participating in 2023 elections is no different from participating to 2018. The election, ZANU-PF is set to rig the 2023 elections just as much as it was set to rig the 2018 elections. The opposition is participating in 2018, in 2018 and 2013 for the same reason they participated in 2013, greed. And they are set to participate in 2023 for the same reason too. And I think it is imperative that Zimbabweans realize what is going on here and stop going round and round in circles. Opposition will pretend that they will win these elections. They claim they can win them big time. The truth is they are not winning these elections. And the morning after the elections, they will be making the same claims again that ZANU-PF stole the elections. For the first time now admitting that ZANU-PF rigged the elections. I think we have got to stop this madness. And with that, Godfrey, would you like to say your final word?
Yes, true. Let's learn from the past. Every indication on the ground is that the elections would be unfair. So with that, I think let's do the wise thing. Call it what it is now, and not cry afterwards.
Thank you very much, Godfrey, and good night to everybody.
Good night.